Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone around the world. This is Paul Sisler within the moment. And today we are featuring Shadow Fox with The Flow. And her special guest today, someone that I've talked to, he's a mentor. I call him a guru. He doesn't accept that, but that's okay because he's a guru. He's a fabulous human being. It happens to be Lee Two Hawks, and Lee Two Hawks happens to be the husband to Shadow Fox. So, without further ado, Shadow Fox, Lee, hello, hello, hello. How's everybody doing?
Hello, greetings, namaste.
Hello, everyone. Oh my goodness. This is exciting. I'm excited anyway. So, wow. Um, we're, you know, Paul, take it away because this is part of, we've got some pretty good information coming forward. And I am hoping now there could be some people that are listening on Spaces from Twitter. But we're going to show a video. Um, that helps those people who may have a little challenge with either feeling, sensing, or seeing energy, such as our energy bodies. So it's a neat little gift we're putting out there for you guys. It is our first, well, really like our first time videotaping this, so it's kind of kindergartenish, but the thing is that you guys will be able to get the gist of what we are presenting and speaking about. So you kind of get a chance to see it. So, but Paul, you were able to check the video out first.
Yes, yes. It's a very nice video. This is the video right here.
Yep,
And before I hit play,
yep,
can
yep.
you kind of tell everybody what's going to happen in this video so they can be kind
Oh,
of prepared for it?
yes. So in this video, a friend of ours, very dear friend, Wendy Farrell, has come and she was standing in a very stationary spot. And what we did is we had used divining rods or dowsing rods. There's many different terminologies for it. Quite honestly, you can make your own. So this is something that you can actually do for yourself, which is really kind of neat. And I'm pretty sure there's a whole bunch of ways that you can learn how to make them out of coat hangers. Um, you know, right from the internet. I'm sure there's something on YouTube somewhere. Um, but you can use straws. The straws actually hold the wire hangers, and this way they move freely. And so, if there's anybody out there that would actually like to experiment with this, it can be very interesting. But this is what, again, it was kind of brief. Um, and we're just trying to give you a glimpse so that we will talk about our energy bodies and what the different measurements within it actually mean, how it's represented, and how we can be cognizant um, in our own lives. Okay, so
Excellent.
yeah, I don't know. Would you care to
Well,
just?
yeah, that actually shows also energy, regardless of the weather, because it was 40 degrees when we did this.
Oh, it was cold, yeah. And we did like what was it, 10 or 15
Yeah,
takes,
yeah.
and I had to go get the shawl and put it over her because she was
Yeah,
cold.
our poor dear friend had to stand there stationary, and it was amazing.
Yeah, so we did get this, and for anyone that is in spaces, you're gonna have, if you're gonna look to see the video, you're definitely gonna have to view it, from the YouTube channel. But for those who are staying in the spaces, hello everyone. Oh, it's so good to see you guys. Hi
All right.
Diana and
Well,
CB.
now before I play this, we need to know who this man is sitting next to you. So, could you
This
introduce
is,
yourself, Lee Two Hawks?
yes, this is my husband Lee Two Hawks, and so
Hello.
yep. There's a you.
I'm sorry, I tend to be very abrupt. I'm not a conversationalist. Hello.
Good
he's
enough.
usually he's usually very quiet, but when he speaks, you kind of like Okay, you listen.
Yes.
At least I
Yes,
do.
I agree. I agree. All right. Well, now what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and start this up. Hopefully it works, and we'll see how it goes.
Let's, yep, fingers crossed,
Hi
guys.
everyone. I'm Shadowbox, and this is Lee Two Hawks. And over here is Wendy Farrell. Very good friend of ours, and we're going to show a demonstration in finding our energy bodies. All right, we're going to be utilizing these divine rods or thousands, however you like to describe them. Okay, so but for right now, what we're going to do, and we'll talk a little bit about it. Okay, what we're going to do is Lee Two Hawks is going to show you where he thinks her energy body is right now, and it's just based on she has no thought. I mean, she's just standing here hanging out, looking pretty and freezing. Okay, so we're just going to show you, and we're going to put a stick here so that we have an actual measurement for you. Okay, so Lee Two Hawks is going to show us where her energy body is right now. Okay, so I'm going to walk with him. We're going to get a little closer. See, here he is. Okay, where? Right here. Okay, so now he's going to stake the stick. All right, so we're going to go back to where we were. Now, if you can see the stick, and that's where he believes that her energy body is right now. So what we're going to do is, can you show the rods? As we get close to where her energy body is, what's going to happen is we program the rods to open this way. Okay, because we're not asking for a positive or negative question. We are asking for where her energy, her emotional energy body is. Okay, and our emotions and our thoughts are all tied together. So right now we're going to see if these rods open up about where that stick is. Okay, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, let's try it and see. Ready? So I'm just coming with him, and we're going to see where this opens. Hang on. Yep, there you go. So here is the stick, and the rods have opened, and there's our friend Wendy. So now let's go back. We're going to come back here. This is a towel that we do our starting point from. Okay. So are you ready? Now, Wendy, could you please think of something that is a little discordant, frustration, anger, being something about being upset or grief or anything, just something sad. Okay, any one of those thoughts. And when you're ready, just nod your head and then we'll begin. Are you ready? Are you there? All right, so now she's thinking of some random thoughts right now. Okay, all right, so let's see. Hang on. Okay, so go ahead, Lee. Lee Two Hawks. Let's see if I'm gonna walk with you so you guys can see them open. Let's see what happens. Where is her energy body now? There's the stick. Oh my, look at that. Look how close that came to her energy field. Okay, that's what happens. Go ahead, go back to the starting point. That's what happens when we get upset. Our energy body comes close to us. And we're going to talk a little bit about some of the other effects of it. But so right now, Wendy, what I'd like you to do, because we're not going to leave you in that nasty thought process, okay? So if you could please think about something happy or joyous or loving, okay? It could be grandkids or working. Whenever you're there, can you please just nod? You're there. Okay, so Lee Two Hawks, if you notice, is standing again right here next to the towel. And now let's see what happens to her energy body. Where is it? Let's see. Oh, hang on. They're moving. They're moving. There they go. So stand right there a moment. So here is the towel. There's Lee Two Hawks. They've opened for where her aura, her energy body is, the emotional energy body. There is the with no thought, just in a neutral position. And of course, there she is. So I'm just going to back out a little bit just so you can see. Hold still. Ah, there you go. Fantastic. So thank you. Now, did you bring the agate?
Oh, you know what I did now?
Okay, so hold on one moment. Now, what we're going to do is I'm going to show you. This is a small piece of agate. It's really pretty. Look at that. With the sun shining through it. Isn't that pretty? What I'm going to show you is I'm going to hand this to Wendy, and she's just going to hold it in her hands. And what we're going to do is we're going to demonstrate what happens when you're actually wearing or holding agate. It's a neat little thing that agate does, and it actually, well, we're gonna do it and then we'll explain it. So, can you please, Lee Two Hawks, look where we are. No, wait, come a little closer, hon. Yeah, okay, just so that we're okay. So we're at the home base. Okay, so let's see where her energy is with the agate. Oh my goodness. Now we're backing up. Look at that. Yep. Wow. We're still backing up. Keep going. I'm going to go this way. Keep going. Wow. Look at the difference. Whoa, right there. See, and here is where we started, and there she is. And you can see where the red flag is, the stick. So the agate actually increases your auric field or magnifies it or expands it. So again, this is something, it's just a neat little thing. We are going to discuss the mechanisms of everything that's happened here, and you can find it on In the Moment with Paul Sisler and his segment of The Flow, of which I host. So yeah, we're going to talk about it. Okay, thanks.
All right, all right. Thank you, thank you.
Hey, it was like the 10th or 11th take, and it was like at least, hopefully, you guys got the gist of it.
Loved it, loved it. So now explain the rods, the energy, the agates. Explain all of that so that people can understand what this is all about and what it truly means.
Of course, the rods are made of metal, which is a conductor of electric phenomena, whatever that may be. So therefore, they're able to detect fields of energy of which we are unable to see. We usually used bamboo for the handles to allow it to swivel. These ones are different, but anything you can use, a straw,
Yeah.
bamboo, like that, to put on the handles so they swing freely. In that process, you, through your mental ability, express to the rods your desire to open or close according to whether you're asking a question or doing an energy field suspect. You can do it with tree.
Or
you can do
trying-
it with dog.
Or trying to find a water source or
Yeah,
something,
yeah.
right?
Mhm.
So it can be programmed. And like I said, we had programmed them to actually open, because when you're thinking about it, you can program for positive and negative would be the cross, or positive, whatever. I'm backwards with mine, so. But you can program them either way that's comfortable for you to get a yes or a no. But when we programmed them, we just took our hands, ran it along the wire, and just said, we're looking for the energy body.
Now, if you caught it, when we walked back, I believe it was before the last of the agate thing, what you would see me do if you caught it, I was wiping the rod and throwing it to the ground to rid it of the energy it had collected over the momentary aspect of what we'd done previously.
Yeah.
So that's a clearing the
It's-
rods.
And cleansing. Yep. So
Okay.
I mean, and if someone is looking at working with that, when you're holding the rods, you keep your elbows in to your rib cage so that they're separated. And when you're walking, just walk slow. Don't be a bull in a china cabinet. It's not like you're directing. You have to allow the rods to direct you. Okay, instead of you going, okay, and that's why it's, take your time. Okay.
Okay. Now, my next question to you, you use the terminology program them. Now, a lot of people are going to be like, well, so what do? You hook it up to a computer and type in information? No, that's
Good
not
idea.
that's not what you do. So explain to me what it means to program the rods.
Okay, like we were talking, how would you like the rods to respond to you? So, for instance, some people would, take the negative. If it was a negative question, like a no, and they would have the rods crossed like this. Some for open, it can be the exact opposite. It's however you're intending to read it. Okay, so the same thing for programming it. It's just through thought. You hold the rods, and it's like, okay, we're looking for the energy body, or we're holding the rods and we're looking for a water source, or we're holding the rods and I'm looking for a diamond ring if that you've lost. It really just depends on what answers you're specifically looking for. Okay.
To answer in a more concise process, it is a mental aspect, not an emotional aspect that you program the rods with. It's a thought process exuded or emanated to the rods.
Yes. Because as that video was showing, um, our thoughts are tied within our emotional body. And when we asked Wendy, when we started, we said, just don't think of anything, just clear your mind and just, be in a neutral position, neutrality, just clear your thoughts. And she was able to do that. And that's where that first measurement was. So without any thoughts, the Monday, da, 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 that's where her energy body was. And so what we were trying to show is based upon an emotional response or emotional thought, how our energy field changed. And it really is kind of important to understand how we present ourselves, how we flow in the world, the mundane world, when we're trying to create something or, manifest something in any capacity. It could be healing, could be a car, could be whatever. And this is what we're going to talk about. If you've seen the video, it shows the different measurements based on those three specific, a neutral, a positive, a negative and a positive. And then what happens, just because we like to do it, here's an agate. I don't know if you guys can see it or not, but anytime I'm working with healing energy, I will always just wear an agate. There's other stones, but I like that. And there's a reason for it, and we will see if we can get to that.
Okay, if we can be a little more explicit. When we talk about the energy body, there are many facets to it. There's a health aura that is part of the physical energy body. There is the aura, which is an emanation, either negative or positive, according to our thinking process, which exudes outwards. That's part of the singular energy body. And so when we talk about it, there are many aspects that are differentiated, but still of the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And
Now,
again,
we do
so
have
we have the physical body, the emotional body, the mental body, and all of these play. And again, our thoughts will create that reality for us.
right.
So,
Right. Now, CV had said walking meditation.
yes.
Yes. And then we have Diane Bishop. There's a lot of questions going on in the chat here, so I'm going to go back
Okay.
to Diane.
So
real quick.
yeah.
Diane
First of all,
says, so even without the agate, can I expand my spiritual presence before I walk into a room in order to charge the room with love?
absolutely, 100%.
The other phrase to use is joy. If you can find joy, which is different than happiness, if you can find joy, which is almost like a Buddhic expression from ourselves of love, kindness, all the
Compassion.
great things we are as human beings combined into one word called joy.
Yes.
So when you open that smile on your face before you enter the room, that tells your body to exude this joy.
Singing can also help raise that vibrational
Yes.
energy, and these are the mechanisms when people speak about that. What does that mean? Some people are just scratching what, but it is all those components. So if you step forward and you live your life with integrity, right, in just compassion, there you go. That is a mechanism. It reads within our energy systems. People have heard me say, it's like, boy, I can see it coming a mile away. You can feel it, both in the positive, the good, the joyous aspects, and you can also see it if someone is angry or upset or frustrated or in sorrow or in grief. You can see it like red flags, like all over the place. It's when we sensitize ourselves to seeing this, and this is why I was saying it's kind of neat if you work with the rods, simply because you can say, okay, well, this is where I think your energy body is. You can kind of feel it, and you get a little pushback. Okay, well, it's right about here, and then you can take the rods and go, oh, well, how close was I? Oh, okay, yeah, and it's a process. It's a mechanism. It's a tool. It's a way to do it, and you can have fun with it.
Okay, if I may be an interlocutor at this time, the body can extend to great distances. Like I was coming back from Cleveland. We live in 100 miles away,
Yeah.
Cleveland, and she knew, and the dogs knew, by the way,
Yep.
that I was headed back.
Yep.
She knew, the dogs knew. How? That's that expression that extends past time, past elements, to past into that field
Yep.
that we call the etheric.
And if there you have other family members in the house and you have animals, they know when you're coming home. It's not because they're watching the clock. They can feel that your presence coming in. So the animals tune into this all the time. And this is something that, we all have the ability. And the only thing we were trying to do was showing that video. I know it was not the greatest video in the world, but it can show how these mechanisms take place. So first off, what I'd like to do, I would like, if that's okay with you, I would like to talk about when we gave Wendy the thought process for,
Mhm.
being angry or upset, and then you can take the other. Is that okay?
That's fine.
Okay.
Now,
So
hold on.
I'm glad we
Before you go forward and all that,
Okay.
I want to give a perspective from my perspective on this, because
Okay.
one time I didn't believe in this stuff. Okay.
Mhm.
But I go from a scientific aspect.
Mhm.
And for me, I know that the human body has an electromagnetic field that extends out like 8 to 10 feet. And again, it's electromagnetic. And that's
Yes.
where I believe the mind is. I don't believe the mind is up here. I believe that our
Yeah.
electromagnetic field is where the mind is contained. So my thought process has changed in things like divining rods and stuff like that, to where it actually can work. So for people that may or may not believe in stuff like this and all that, when you think about it, you can actually go into a scientific aspect. And then like with animals, they can pick up on energy. I know that my little Cinnamon, when like Joe, my stepson-in-law, he's up visiting his father up in Oregon. And when he comes home, or if he goes out and he gets food or something like that, when he gets within 10 minutes away, she's over at the door, at the window looking for him, because she already knows he's on his way. I don't have to say anything, do anything. So there is more to all of this than just, no, I don't believe in that. Guess what? There's actually science behind it, and it's something that I do truly believe in now because of the science.
Yeah.
Okay, let me just interject. I know you have stuff to say. Okay. The aura, which is the energy body extended out beyond the physical form. it is indeed magnetic or electromagnetic in nature.
Mhm.
As a person progresses in consciousness, that magnetic field becomes radiatory.
Yes.
In other words, atoms are breaking up, more atoms are coming in. Like if we want to use the term Christ, we can use that. His was radiatory. He was ready to expand his aura to include an entire town or an entire world,
Yep.
should he choose.
Yep.
That's the nature of radiation. Most of us, 99.99%, are still in that area of
Discovery.
magnetic resonance.
Yeah, yeah. And in a sense, Lee Two Hawks has just really kind of emphasized another aspect to what I believe it was Diana had asked about entering a room, and and so I definitely have a science based understanding. That was really part of my where I was going to go many moons ago. So, what I would like to discuss though is that aspect when we are in the thought processes of the negative, the woe is me, the what grief, sorrow, pain, being the victim, for instance, or even the villain. These are those. What happens is that um, our energy really does. It becomes very dense, very thick, slow. So the energy vibrational body of us becomes close to us. It becomes thick. So that's why it's like we'll say, raise our vibrational energy. Okay, well, here you go. What happens if you think for just a moment, having an argument with someone, okay, it could be a spouse, could be a boss, okay, Paul, you and I, we're having an argument, okay, we have two opposing views, and I'm just absolutely livid. I am mad, I am angry, and then all of a sudden, think for just a moment, my aura has just shrinked. How much information or how open would I be to you, Paul, as you would be say, hey, don't sweat the small stuff and da da da, or can you please consider this until my energy body, until I release that horrible negative angst, could be jealousy, worry, fear. Those are other ones that lower and condense our energy bodies. How much information do you think I'm going to be receptive to? How much do you
Very
think I'm
little.
going to allow in? Very little, right? So
Exactly. Very little.
technically, I'm not going to hear a damn thing you're going to say, okay? Because I'm like, this is where I am, and this is my way, and we're just going to project all this stuff out. Okay, yeah, it usually falls on deaf ears. Okay, if I'm yelling and screaming at you, you're gonna tune me out. You're yelling and screaming at me, I'm going to tune you out. Now, the mechanism is like when Wendy, we gave Wendy, can you please send love, joy, put yourself, pick one, and then think on that. And immediately, the moment she changed that thought, the moment it was a completely different energy field. And
Yes.
so, for the briefest of moments, compassion, love, honor, integrity. When those thoughts are in there, what we can do is we can think it's like now you're more open to receive. So when you're angry, you're not going to let the love in. Okay, you're just not. It's not going to get in there very easily. But when your energy is expanded outward, that's when the flow, that's when we have, let's just say this is something that I kind of coined, I guess. It's called a semi-permissible membrane. So in medical terminology, it would be called a semi-permeable membrane, and that's where you're getting osmosis and you're going from a high contact to a low contact. You can all look it up, but in this mechanisms, we are giving those permissions, whether it be through a boundary. And so energy, love and light can come in, but anger and criticism and frustration can stay the hell out. Okay. So this is why I call even the veil I see as a semi permissible membrane. It is giving permission or not. It's that simple. It truly is. This is not rocket science. So, but then again, I like it. I like it. So
Yes.
if you have a question, any other questions, because then I'd like Lee Tuwoks to talk on that aspect of where, you know, that creating aspect of when we're in those thought forms of integrity, compassion, love, honor, joy, singing, writing, being in the creative aspect. Because, and then what happens with if we're using stones, and this is why we put that in there, is because there are people out there that don't think that, you know, crystals or gems in any, you know, really do anything. But this is one of the ones that really do expand our energy. And it's very easy to use agate to show that as a reference. So that was like a dual purpose.
Yes. Now, before Lee goes on, first Diane has a question, and then I have a comment to make. Diane
Okay.
said, "I know someone who often comes from anger. He admits it. It is tangible when people are around him. Is it possible that so much anger can fill a space?"
Yeah, that's why we
Yes.
sludge.
Yes. And Diana, I'm going to kind of with what I'm going to say. That's going to kind of it's going to be able to answer your question and all that. When I reflect back and I look at, I spent 20 years in the casino industry, and you got to remember, people are going into the casino. They want to have fun. They lose their money. They get angry. They get pissed. So when you walk into a casino, there's a lot of mixed emotions throughout the air. There's happiness. There's joy. There's a lot of sexuality in the air, but there's also a lot of anger, frustration, disappointment. People get mad at themselves because, oh my God, I just blew my rent check. What am I going to do? So there's also desperation. Now,
Mhm.
I know in dealing with people that I've had to deal with a lot of angry customers, you may say, and where Diane's asking, can someone fill that space full of anger? When
Yes.
there's different types of anger, and I'll have you correct me if I'm wrong here at the end. Wait until I'm done, please, please, please. If somebody is angry, there's the type that you hold in, and when you're holding it in, and you want to keep that to yourself, you don't want people to know that you are angry. I think that's what, like when you were doing the divining rods, that she pulls that in, and now it's really thick and it's up really close, and you're not going to go into that. Now, when you have anger that you're projecting out at the world, it is going out there, and people are going to feel that and sense that. If you're walking down the street, trust me, you don't have to be yelling that you're angry.
Yes.
All you have to be doing is walking in anger and be mad at the world. And if you're walking by me, I'm going to feel that. I'm going to know you are an angry person. But I'm also, in not wanting to deal with that anger, I'm going to be putting up my own blockade because I don't want that to come to me. And unfortunately, what I have noticed, and this is basically where I'm going to throw the question back at you and all that.
Mm-hmm.
I have noticed that a lot of times when I don't want the angry person to notice me or to engage with me, and I am trying to block that out, and I don't want to be seen, it actually draws that person to me.
Yes.
In other words, I'm trying to block it, and next thing I know, they are up there in my face and all that. What is your problem? You got a problem with me? Blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, no, I just want to go on with my business. So, yes, that anger can fill up a huge space. How do we stop it from drawing to us?
Okay, and again, this is where I'm going to talk about permissions. So, for instance, if someone is coming across and they may be having a very great message, okay, it's like, hey, you know, but they're loud and they're boisterous and coming at you like, it's like, whoa, I tune them out. It's like, whoa, wait a minute. It's like my ears, come on. It's like that, and being gentle and being gracious, I guess. And so when you're upset, or you're angry, trust me, people can see it a mile away. It's not something you can hide. I mean, people, if they're really paying attention, but the majority of us really don't pay attention, right? This is what we're trying to do, is bring this information, or showing this, and bring the attention to it. Okay, so when that happens, the point is, and this is where we have healthy boundaries, and it is that semi-permeable membrane, such as, I may be angry right now, and I do not care to infect everyone else with my anger. Oh boy, I can get that right. But so therefore, I stop talking. I will bless the situation. Okay, this is a mechanism to do it. Be grateful for whatever lesson, whatever it came, because it alters the frequency and the vibration of whatever has made you angry or upset or fear or whatever. Like, you could even say, dear Lord, thank you for the challenges you place before me, because I know I can get over them. That is another way of going through it. But to block, to not allow someone else's energy to impregnate your energy. And again, we have empathy and all this other stuff. But very briefly, it is good, healthy, sound boundaries. I have created my energy field. Okay, I like the way my energy is, and I'm sorry, but your discordant energy cannot enter my field. It can just continue to bounce out there. All right, you do what you've got to do, but it is not going to set me off of my own foundation. But this is me. This is something that I have worked with. It doesn't mean that, I don't pay attention. Okay, and part of that stoic aspect, it's like, okay, well, you're having a bad day. So guess what? I will give you space. So, Paul, if you're upset over something, I will give you space to be able to create your own equilibrium and gain your own composure. And until that, I will just kind of maybe be in the other room, okay? Give you that time to adjust. And then when the dust settles, okay, Paul, you and I can talk now. Hey, you know what? I'm sorry if I offended you. I love you. I'm sorry.
Right.
We were misunderstood. It was a miscommunication. Or guess what? You really, truly blew it. Okay, so these again come from that aspect, because when you're all upset and fear and worry and all of that, nothing else is going to come and accept that. So then you're just going to see more of it. And this is how we perceive the world sometimes, right? Our thoughts create that reality, the illusions of everything. So I don't choose to see the world that way. I'm working desperately to kind of like advance a little bit. So
right now, where I was asking and all that, why do they attract to me when I don't want them to attract to me?
Because it's a hidden aspect. It's just like
Okay.
anger that's not expressed.
Yep.
It's still emanating outwards. Those people who are sensitive can realize that and suck you right in.
Yep, it's a focus.
Okay.
It,
All right,
it truly is a focus. Yes.
Okay. So then the other side of it, because T-Paw asks, if you have anger or strong negative emotions, would then from your point of view potentially act as a magnet to others with the same thing? So would that also? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. If this is carried over time, you will
Yes.
draw those people
Yes.
to you who are exactly
Yes.
like you.
Yes.
Okay.
If you're angry, mad, pissed off at the world, and you keep on doing that, that's exactly who you're going to position yourself with and draw them to you.
Mhm.
Now, so far, there's a vulnerability we all carry. None of us want to get hurt.
Yep.
None of us want to be vulnerable to control or manipulation or somebody else's anger.
Yeah.
I always leap to the outside edge. I know I'm starting to pound the table. I always leap to the outside edge. She's correct. So when we are full of that vulnerability, there's always that step. We think we're okay.
Yeah.
We're calm. We're cautious. All of a sudden, this attack mode called anger, ferociousness, manipulation comes at us, and we can, to a certain way, control our action, not reaction, but action towards it. It's important to realize that when you're building a blockade, don't build it a block,
Yep.
a brick, or
Yep.
stone,
Right.
because that stops everything from coming in, the good, the beautiful,
Yep.
the kind.
Yep.
Build it of a semi-permissible
Mhm.
fabric called a web, if you wish, or something like that.
Yep.
So far as jumping to the end result, when one walks in a sacred step, when one walks in a sacred step, there's no vulnerability.
Yeah.
There's nothing that can touch you.
Yep.
You are full of love. You're full of everything, every attribute you consider as humanly and even beyond that.
Yep. I am complete. These are the mechanisms, like what it's like the same thing when you were talking about. It's like at the casino, there's, that you get that atmosphere, you get that energy, you get that feeling. Bars are another thing. If you
Yes.
How many people go to the bar to cry in their beer, right? So the energy of bars, for the most part, is of a lower vibrational energy. Sorry guys, if you guys own bars and everything else and liquor and whatever, it just is. I mean, think about going to a Buddhist temple and then think of a bar. Okay. So at that juncture, our energy, our thoughts can definitely create this static, stale energy that filters and really gets like stuck in the houses. It's like, think about a house being how old, right? 100 years, 200 years old. And you can kind of like feel it like every time you have an argument. Okay. It's like Lee Two Hawks and we may not always see eye to eye, but we're not screaming and hollering at each other. But even when we have a discordant note, out comes the Palo Santo immediately. We'll be smudging with sage or there's other herbs too, but we will always clear and clean that energy. And there are energy ways through thought to be able to do that also. I'm just saying, because as you can see, when the wands were opening, okay, that our energy is just like no different with science. When you're looking like a crime scene, you're going to leave DNA there. Well, guess what? You're also going to leave energy there.
Right. T-Paul, before you go on, T-Paul had one more question and all that.
Okay.
How would you maintain the positive How would you maintain the positive emotions when others try to drag you down to negative vibrations?
This comes to motive and desire.
And focus.
How strong, how much do you desire that aspect of that which you wish?
Mhm.
Therefore, it comes down to discipline.
Mhm.
You teach yourself step by step. You take a certain moment when you're in the field of being drawn towards a discordant enterprise, and you have time before it hits you. That's when you sit and say to yourself, or develop within yourself, that energy that says, I am here and I am that I am.
And the other thing too is you can take a look. Does it feel good to you? If there is discordant energy within your sphere of influence, or somebody else is being discordant to you, or trying to scream, holler, whatever your situation is, how does that feel? Does it feel good to you? Because if it does, then you have just recognized your own what is like a Geiger counter. Okay, it can be positive or negative or neutral, and so you get to choose. If it feels good and you feel very comfortable being in that framework, and like Lee Two Hawks says, yes, if you have that thought pattern and it is, the fears, the worries, I'm sick, I'm miserable, and everybody's against, it's me against the entire world type of thing, rah rah sis kumbah. Well, yeah, this is who you're going to draw to you because, like attracts like. Okay. So those are those thought processes. So if you're looking at changing something or if something is not feeling comfortable to you, the moment you change your focus, the moment you give it a blessing, the moment you stand in gratitude for those people, which probably are more than likely some of your greatest teachers you're going to come by simply because they're challenging you. And so that you can take a look and recognize what it is that you are uncomfortable with, if that makes sense.
Okay,
No.
to recognize where or how I know what I know or how I experience what I've experienced and how I've grown from that field of desperation. Decades ago, I used to go to this bar and I drank pretty heavily. Oh boy, did I drink pretty heavily. And I always played this one tune, Patsy Cline's You Don't Love Me Anymore. Wah, wah, wah. And this for a year or a year and a half or two. My next girlfriend, guess what her favorite song was? Patsy Cline, You Don't Love Me Anymore. So it showed me a pattern.
Mm-hmm.
And if we can recognize the pattern, we can cure the pattern.
Yes.
If that's the desire.
Yep. And so if we're looking at changing something, and this, we have a few minutes here, and I would like you to speak on that aspect of when you recognized you had that pattern, because when we had given Wendy the thought, like, can you just think about, like, love or that joy. Now, we never asked her what it was that she was thinking about. We just asked her to think about something in that framework. And when we did that, and whether it was joy or whether it was love or anything, those wands, we had to back up. Okay, it wasn't, or no, yeah, we came in just a little bit, yeah, from where she was. We were only like a couple of feet off from that home base in the film, in the video. So what I'd like is that how can people shift that focus and kind of try to remain there, whether it be with integrity and not fear, how, because I think when our aura is expanded, and this is where people think you might think it's the exact opposite, and it isn't. So when our field is open, guess what? We have more opportunities because our auric field, that magnetic magnetic electrical impulse that we have, is a signal that we're sending it out, so we have a larger radius in order, as if we were tuning in to those other energies that are carrying the same frequency that can find us. See, so if our auras and our energies are out there, guess what? This is how we step into the flow. It is one way. How do we step into the flow? How do we become harmonious and in a very helpful and healthy way? This is one of them. So can you talk just a little bit
First
about?
way, Paul, are the questions you feel should be answered?
Yeah, are there any
Oh.
other?
Oh, well, we have lots of people we have lots of
Well, there's the important
Yeah,
people.
yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Diana had made a statement. Also permissions. Their energy has no right to infringe on you. Would you allow them to hit you, or would you block the punch? In other words, if they're throwing negative energy upon you, are you going to block that, or are you just going to let it come in? And the example would be, and all that, if someone's going to hit you, are you just going to stand there and let them hit you, or are you going to try to prevent it?
Now, there's two ways. You can either, as that energy is coming towards you, you can transmute it, or you can send it back. Return to sender, address unknown. When we were kids, we used to talk, I'm rubber and you're glue. Whenever you say bounces off me and sticks to you. You ever hear that? Okay, well, there's something to that. So
Yes.
it's just how whatever really kind of works for each individual, because what works for me may not work for Lee Two Hawks or for Paul or for Diana or
Right.
anyone else. You know,
Right.
so it would you like, I mean, when negative energy is coming my way, I'm sorry, but for me, that's yours. This is not mine. I am not going to accept it. I am not going to allow it. I will not give it permissions. And
Right.
so I can transmute that. I can help someone transmute that and regulate or eliminate that negative energy very effectively. It can be done. You can, ground, send that into Mother Earth, and she, in a very graceful way. You don't do it like, take this. No, you ask her to remove it. There's so many
Right.
different ways.
Right. Now, I know there's a lot of people that they may or may not comprehend the energy aspect. So I
Right.
want to go back to what T. Paul was saying for a moment,
Uh-huh.
and I want to give a different variation so that it might help actually.
Hmm.
I know the avenue is different in description, but it's the same thing in
Hmm.
result. And what you're actually doing. When he asked, how would you maintain the positive emotions when others try to drag you down to negative vibrations? The other aspect, and I'm going to go the stoic avenue with
Yeah.
it. Okay.
Yes.
You
Yep.
have to separate emotions from logic. All right. And I'm not saying, go one or the other. I'm saying when emotions become part of the play, sometimes you excuse me, sometimes you have to step back from your own emotions. All right. And look at things in a logical sense. In other words, you're putting up that blockade. You're not letting your emotions to intermingle with their emotions. You're putting up that blockade and you're holding your own self back and you're cutting them off. And then you have to look at it in a logical sense and respond in a logical sense. And when you do that, you're withholding your emotions to disallow that energy transfer. Because once you start doing that energy transfer, now there's going to be an overwhelming exchange. And I think that's where the transmuting comes in.
Yeah.
So, from a Stoic's perspective, you just kind of want to step back, evaluate the situation, and determine what your best approach is going to be. Do you walk away? Do you engage in the conversation?
Yeah.
Do you try to calm the person down? Do you give them room? You're evaluating everything. So, and CV, you throw a lot of real good things out there. One of the comments is CV made was, besides, I usually have my focus on exciting things and I don't make time for psychic vampires, which I love that. That is great. And then he also states, I love transmuting it and send it back to them. Imagine getting
Yep.
hit with laughter.
Yep.
Imagine getting hit with laughter and love.
Yeah.
CV, I love you, brother. My God.
Yeah.
Dude,
Yeah.
I gotta
You know,
look. Do you
I
follow me, CV? Because I'm gonna
Yeah.
follow you if
I
I
would just
don't. I love
I would just
CV.
yeah, I would just like to make a mention too, because here's another way to answer that. There's we have three different types of energy. We have sympathy, empathy, and compassion. Sympathy is down on the bottom one of energy. So if you had low to high, sympathy, empathy, and compassion. Okay. Um, if we were to consider our energy is like a guitar. Okay, so we can tune it, right? We can tune our vibrational energy to any one of those. Now, the way I understand what sympathy is, to me means that there is it's a limitation. I'm giving permission for something to be wrong. Okay, it's sympathy. To me, I don't believe that we are limited. Um, with empathy is vitality borrowed, and it's for a short duration of time. Okay, compassion is that of a higher octave, and it resonates with love. Okay, so if we were tuning a guitar and you're asking those questions, well, how can you not, how can you stop being pulled into someone else's energy. Well, if you've just tuned your guitar and you are, on pitch and you're in the right, the right chord or whatever, guess what? If you're going to sympathy, you are altering and taking your guitar out of tune to match them. The same thing with empathy. You may be able to empathize with someone, so you're borrowing that emotional component for a short duration of time. Once you're either out of that vicinity or you are stop focusing on them, your energy will go back to that neutrality, that baseline. Okay. And then with compassion, it's that you're actually making sure that your guitar, your instrument, your energy is still in tune, and your harmonics is going to help the others come up and recognize that their instruments are out of tune. So it's a choice. So you can think of it as a head game. You can think of it as any way you like, but it is a process, and it is a way to think about it so that you don't get sucked in. So if you're going to be playing in a band and you've got your guitar, all tuned up, and you go in and everybody else is out of tune, how good is that? Is there going to be harmony? Is there going to be flow?
Right.
You guys going to sound good? So you can think of it that way. So compassion is what keeps your instrument in perfect pitch, perfect harmony, and everyone else is slightly off. You get to, you can tune your guitar to a D instead of a G, right? Okay, that's empathy.
Okay, now.
All right, I'm gonna say this, if I may, real quickly.
Yep.
It's important to recognize that we are trying to transmute something, or you're trying to move out of a state or a pattern of livingness that has existed. It takes work. You're not going to snap the fingers overnight and have it happen. You have to realize what your desire is, follow that desire to the point where you find instruction or activity or others that are the same ilk looking for something that will bring that forward, and work together or work by yourself. And it's going to take time. It's going to take effort. That's not being negative. That's telling the actuality of the thing.
Like going to a gym, just like
T-Paw.
T-Paw said, yes, absolutely. And here's another thing. There are people who can step through. You may be working through something or in any capacity, and someone's going to criticize, or someone is going to belittle you. And again, you can accept that. You can say, yeah, you're right, or you can stand within that neutral position and say, no, I'm sorry. I don't give permission for this. That's on them. If someone is criticizing, then what that means is that's on them. Hey, not everybody's going to like me, and that's okay.
Okay, I have
Some
a question.
people are, some people aren't.
I have a question. All right. Now, I am very empathic. Okay.
Yes, you are.
I'm a fixer. I will take on anyone, anywhere, and try to help them, work with them, communicate with them in every way. So, in other words, people that have negative emotions, instead of walking away from them, I give the permission and open up arms to them, because I want to try to help them see a different way of thinking. I want to try to encourage a healing process. Now, unfortunately, you come across people that you just can't fix.
Oh, yeah.
Because they don't want to be fixed.
Right.
So, my question to you then is, once you've given a permission, how do you revoke that permission? Because I don't seem to be able to do that, because I continually I keep getting drawn back in, wanting to fix this person that I know in my head does not want to be fixed. And yet I, for some reason, believe if they will open up and take their walls down for just that one fucking second. Just take that brick, just take one brick out just for a minute. Give me 1 minute. And I feel like I can get you to take the rest of the bricks down.
Here's the hard fact, Paul. Here's the hard fact. All right?
Okay.
There are people who simply are not ready.
Yep.
It has to be decision, and you're not going to change their mind.
Right.
Sometimes you just simply have to walk away.
Yep.
I did it with my brother, who was an alcoholic.
Yep.
I could not help him, and it was
Yep.
destroying me in a process
Yes.
of trying to
Yes.
help him. I had to walk away.
Yeah, I mean, we even friends, you know,
Yes.
as we either grow or understand or have a different idea, whatever, everyone recognize that everyone is on their own journey, their own path. We're all at different levels. I mean,
Right.
seriously, Paul, if you were to drive from
Mhm.
California to New York City, okay, you leave at 8 in the morning. I'm going to leave at 10 in the morning.
Right.
Lee Tuwonks is going to leave at 4 in the morning. Okay. We're all different. You know, he may take the southern route. He likes the desert. You may take the northern route because you live in the desert and you'd like to see the cold. It again, all paths. We're still going to all get to New York City eventually, or
Right.
vice versa.
Right.
But the point is we all have a way of getting there. There are many, many roads. And sometimes within those roads, you're coming up and you're going to hang out and say, oh boy, I like this town. So I'm going to stay here for a little bit. Even though I left at 10 o'clock in the morning, guess what? I may not get there for 5 years because guess what? I kind of like the town. And this is where friends come in and friends go out. And you have to have enough love and compassion. Sometimes that compassion is letting those people go.
Right. But
Okay,
Hold
very
on.
quick word on repressive emotion.
hold
Been
on.
in
Hold
a
on.
battle.
Wait,
Oh,
hang
I'm
on.
sorry.
I because I have another question for you.
Okay.
Lee. I can walk away. I have walked away.
Mhm.
So the next question is, because I always feel like I should have done more. That's something that eats at me. How do
Well,
I
that's a
deal with
personality thing.
Mhm.
how do I
That's
deal
one
with
thing.
that? How do I deal with that? How do I get to where I don't have the guilt that I should have stuck it out for one more minute, one more hour, one more day, one more week?
Mhm.
How do I get beyond that self beating myself up? How do I get past that? That's where I have troubles, because when I try to help people, and yes, I do realize that, okay, I'm not getting anywhere. I got to walk away. But when I walk away, I now have guilt. And that is what eats at me. It's like, should I go back to that? And because, like you said, your brother was an alcoholic and almost destroyed you. How do I not destroy myself by walking away with my own self beating up?
This is a personality process. This is your thinking process that over time has bulged into you may call it a savior complex or a messiah complex, as they used to call it in psychology, which is absurd to even call it that. But the need to help others is very strong. Why? Because you're a very effective person. You know your capabilities. You know you understand human nature, and you know this person should not be where they're at.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not your responsibility. Yes, once you conclude all that you can do, everything possible,
Yep.
then you step back without regret,
Yep.
without doubt, but with sincerity that you did everything you could
Yep.
possible.
Yeah, like stop packing your guilt bag.
Yeah.
You know,
See, that's where the problem
And
is.
that-
I see it
and-
as my responsibility.
yes. And again, you know, within those responsibilities, absolutely. And I'm going to bring you directly right back for just a moment. Think about when Wendy was standing there and I asked her to think of something either saddened or frustrating or worry, whatever. Okay, so her energy field came in very, very close to her. Now think about this for just a moment. if that person is in a defensive mechanism and you're trying to help, you're saying, hey, guess what? I got some answers. And if you try this and you try that, and this person isn't there, everything you say is going to bounce back off, right? They're not, it's like you screaming at them. You know, sometimes people will respond to being screamed at, like, oh, I got to pay attention. Dad's out there, the authoritarian, and with that stick, and he's screaming, so I better listen, right? I mean, come on.
Yes.
It's like, so therefore, I mean, like, I tune them right out. I just would tune these people right out. So again, why? Because I step into that aspect of being in balance with Mother Nature. In Mother Nature, it is always the path of least resistance. And so when you're getting that and they're not that message, that help is falling on deaf ears or they're resisting it, guess what? That's not on you. That's on them. They're not ready.
Right.
They're
Right.
not
I know.
willing to
And
receive.
Yeah, and it's still a hard concept for me because
Yeah, it is.
and I don't know where I get this from because both of my parents can walk away from anybody just like that. Everybody in my family can walk away just like that. It's just like, and I'm reading the comments here and all that. I mean, it's like, Cornelia, we are not obligated to anyone.
You got it.
Anytime I feel guilt for not doing enough, anytime I felt guilt for not doing enough, it had to do with
Yes.
me.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
CV, love doesn't mean that we have to be doormats,
That's right.
and I agree with all of this. And yet I sit there and I dwell on it. I don't know how to, I don't know how to separate myself from that responsibility of fixing the world, I guess you might
Right.
say. I don't know how to separate myself from that. And it tears me up. I don't know how to do that.
Okay, I exist in balance. I transmuted myself into that ability to stay in balance, to stay in harmony. That doesn't mean I don't carry guilt. I have
Right.
great guilt over not being able to help my brother, but I can't let it harden me
Eat us.
or dispose of me. I have great guilt over driving a car where my 9-year-old son was killed. Not my fault. The accident was not my fault,
Yep.
but it happened when I was driving.
Right.
Two
Right.
great guilts in my life. I still carry them, but I do not. I use them as building blocks to wisdom.
Yep.
It's exactly what I
Yes.
do.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
I think what the hardest part for me is why it really resonates with me now more than ever. For all of the intelligence that I have, all of the knowledge that I have, I couldn't save my wife.
Yeah.
And it's like I should have done more. I should have done something different. And I think that's probably what beats me up the hardest.
Yeah. I think, Paul, I think it comes down to a part of how we actually are processing information, where we have filters. And for instance, I know that I believe Tuox will definitely speak for himself, but I know he would concur with what I'm saying. That when our daughter died, it was the aspect of my own filters. Honestly, we did everything within our power to help in every conceivable way. There was nothing more that was within our tool frames or in any capacity. And so what I struggled with was my filters. Okay, so here, someone very near and dear to me made the transition, my own flesh and blood, made the transition. But you know what? You know how my filters were off? Somebody calls or somebody steps forward and is crying because they broke a nail. or oh my goodness, the server at the restaurant didn't get my meal and I got angry and frustrated, or I went to take these clothes back and and it's like, really? And I could not reconcile. It took me a while. So what I did is I stepped away for a little while. I stepped away from society because it was me. All right. I was aggravated that here, wow, here's some great pain. And yet somebody's bitching, moaning, and complaining because you got the wrong stuff on your salad. I mean, really? And you're going to cause a ruckus? Whoa. I was like, and so in essence, Paul, I do think you could you could retune those filters so that it's just a perception, really, okay, of how, because I know you are, that civil rights activist, like that equality. And when people are not acting within those realms of being supportive to each other, but tearing other people down or taking rights away, it's aggravating, right? And it's
Oh my
like we
God,
can do
yes.
all we have to do, and it's kind of like, hey, welcome to our world, So the idea is little by little by little, people are starting to seek and look and say, hey, wait a minute, what's good for one is good for all.
Yeah.
I think anybody who has been to war shares that same view.
Yes. Yes.
It really minimizes your expression towards other people's outward, flagrant disharmony because, oh my gosh, my
I
tooth broke.
stubbed my toe.
Yeah, I
stubbed my toe.
What does that mean? What
Yes.
is the meaning? Where's the essence of that? Really?
And I think what those questions or the frustration and that guilt aspect, it really does come down to your filters, Paul.
Yeah.
And we can discuss that at some point.
Yes, definitely. Now we are up here at an hour 12. The time sure
goodness.
flies, I tell you. And Lee, I know you had a list of things that you wanted to talk about. You need to save that list because we're going to have you on here again. I'm telling you. People just need to know who both of you are. Both of you are brilliant. And you're helping me with a lot of things because again, people that know me, they know I'm an atheist, but I'm also very spiritual, and I believe in all the energy and stuff like that goes on. I may see things a little bit differently than what you may see things, but I still believe that there is energy and things out there that we have no knowledge of. And that's where we continue to learn as human beings.
Can I just say something here very, very quickly?
Yes.
Anyone who's listening in on Spaces or Twitter or any place else, if you have not seen, like, from the beginning part of this show, there is a video in there. Please, because what we were kind of discussing and bringing forward was kind of based on the foundation, like, of showing that video of our energy bodies, our emotional bodies. So please, if anything, please get what's it called? The replay.
So far as that goes, anything that we exhibit is put forward in order to help you help yourself.
Yes. Okay. Excellent show. We're going to have an after show. So you're going to have to go to my Patreon to get the after show experience. Just to let you know, I'm supposed to have an interview. It was supposed to be tomorrow with Alice Little. That's been pushed back a week. She has some things that came up and had to reschedule. So it'll be on October 13th that I have the interview with Alice Little. And then Rosa Sparks, a.k.a. Lana Quest. She has a YouTube show called The Quest. I will be interviewing her on the 21st. So make sure you catch that on Spaces on Saturday. I have an interview with Paris of the Prairie, Asia Hussein. has a radio station show. She's going to be hosting a space with Andrew Yang. And I'm going to be able to come up and ask Andrew Yang a question. So, yes, so keep up with us. We have a lot of good things coming up. Shadow Fox, next week is at Cato.
Yeah. Oh, yes, yes. I'm gonna be having a friend of mine. She is just a wonderful, wonderful person. She's her studies. She's everybody like everyone else. We have our our lives and how we overcome things and stuff. But we're going to be speaking about, at least this is where our intent is. We'll see how that goes. But the natal charts, because it's something that I'm interested in, and this is not where my major forte is. So quite honestly, I am going to be in the position of being the student. And this is where I really get excited. I love to learn, and I'm probably going to have 50 million questions for her and stuff. So,
I have to ask you, since she does the whole natal charts, can you connect me with her to where you can do a natal chart on me, and I could be the explanatory aspect of the charts? She could put my chart down.
I think that's what she was gonna do with me. But I'll reach out to her. If you message me your info, I'll send that into her and see if maybe, because then there could be where she could do to the opposing, like cross-referencing and saying this is how this is, and I think that would be like
I would
really
love
great.
it. Oh, yes. Oh,
Yeah,
I love
like
it. I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
and I do know she's getting ready. She's building it, so she's going to be actually doing that, I think, as a business. I mean, it's like in the beginning stages, and maybe I shouldn't, but it's like, yeah, I am, because this is going to happen, So anyway, yeah, please, if it's, this is, I have no idea. Maybe you can help with some of the questions, because truly, I'm fascinated with it.
Yeah, so am I.
Her
So
name
am I.
she's on Twitter, and I call her Cato.
Okay. Look, I am looking forward with that. All right, everybody. Remember, be kind, be happy,
and thank you.
Come your way.
Thank you.
Au revoir.
No, you gotta stay
Why?
because we're having an after dinner. What is it?
I gotta pee.
After show. After show. You can't go anywhere. All right.
Wait. Did
All
you
right.
end it yet?
Not yet. We're going to end it right now.
Well, he
All right.
just left to go to the
Bye.
bathroom.
That's all right. Bye-bye, everybody. Thank you.